Welcome friends, welcome to the fifth lecture of the course Business to Business Marketing. So, let us start the day with a small paradox, right. You know, business markets generally fall into a quality trap, you can say in one way, a quality trap, right. So, what I am trying to say today is let us start this lecture with the topic trapping versus substance. Now, the first important point that you can see here is rugged engineering trap. Now, what does it mean? Is that business firms, B2B firms, basically the industrial ones largely, they always have a mindset to create a technology, rich product. They want to prove that they are the best in the market, right. And in the meanwhile, they do forget that in this competition of technology, right, they forget what the customer exactly is looking for. So, this is why this is the reason why we are saying this is a trap. Okay. So, production orientation where a firm is convinced usually by its engineers, right, that if we build a better widget or the world will beat a path to our door. That means what it says is if you produce a very high quality product, automatically people will come to us, our customers will come to us. Now, technology is largely emphasized over the customer needs, right. So, business firms fall into this trap where they are always into the run for a better or higher technology, and they forget that the customer might not be asking for it exactly, right. This disease is very chronic in this B2B market and it continues among several large firms, several firms, right. Interestingly, one of the stalwarts of the industry, Louis Gerstner, had stated that IBM's major problem, Gerstner was one of the chief officers of IBM, and he said that the IBM's major problem was that the firm had forgotten to satisfy customers and was more interested in promoting technology, right. So, in 2002 when Gerstner took over, he had said this statement. So, you can understand that if IBM can understand this is a problem, then that means it is a serious problem, right. So, B2B marketers have to come out of this trap, and people who are from this B2B field, right, tomorrow whoever is going to join a company or people who are already into the company, right. So, they need to understand that they should not be running for creating a better and better technology all the time and try to be the best in the market, but rather their focus has to be a balance, rather more oriented towards what the customer desires. Let us take this interesting example. Is it a B2B or a B2C product? Now, the several products come into the category of B2B, several others come into the category of B2C. But some products can fall into both B2B and B2C as well, right, giving the example of for example, computers, right, or industrial fans or anything for that. Now, take a simple product like the hair dryer. Now, if you look at hair dryer and when you go to a salon for your haircut, you must or many of you might be keeping at home also to dry your hair. So, that is a general product that we keep in our home, and we feel this product is nothing but a simple consumer product, right. So, because we use it in our home. But if I ask this question, is it a B2B or a B2C product? Then maybe you will raise your eyebrows and start thinking why is professor asking this, right. So, let us see what I want to derive out of this argument. Now, if you look at the hair dryer, it has got 5 major elements. What are they? A plastic shell, a heating element, a motor and fan, controls and switches, wire and plug, that is all, right. But we are using it in a home, right. So, it should be necessarily a B2C product. But let us go into the depth of this product and see how it looks, right. Now, if you look at this transactions to make a hair dryer, right. If you look at this picture, you can see that except the last point, which is this point B2C, all the remaining ones come under the B2B category. Now, what is it? Now, if you look at the raw materials, the material processors, the manufacturing parts and sub assemblies, assemblers, even distribution, the wholesalers, everything, retailers, everybody involved up to, if you can see, till this area, this total transactions that you make comes under the B2B. Now, this is for a simple hair dryer. If you can understand that to make a hair dryer, the number of transactions that are involved are all B2B, right. be it a raw material producer who is producing supplying you raw material from the processing of the materials through a steel mill or aluminum production center or anything for that, right, or a refinery, or then manufacturing the parts like plastic molders, then other parts of the hair dryer, to anything for that, right. So, all these come into that B2B category. So, why I have shown this example, just to make you feel realize that many of the products that you think are B2C, they also do have a very large component of B2B inside it, right. Now, for example, one question that always lurks when you talk about B2B markets is price versus value. So, how important is price when we talk about the B2B market? So, let us see this example. Auto diode is a key component in the alternators used in virtually every automobile in the world, right. It is a very integral component. Now, one old line electrical products manufacturer was supplying an attractive product at a cost of nearly $1 per unit. So, competitors developed a much simpler product which eliminated the outer layer of packaging and could be offered to the automobile manufacturers at less than 0.2. So, it has now come down to 1/5 of the price. The engineers at the older firm were convinced, those who were selling at $1, that buyers at General Motors, Ford and Toyota would be willing to pay more for the better packaged product, even though both met the same functional requirements. So, the functional requirement is the same, right, nothing has changed, but the packaging was better in the first one. One engineer even remarked, they can see the better quality, it looks better, right. Now, the question is, in such a condition, what do you think must have happened? The companies would have shifted from the earlier supplying at $1 to the 0.2 $0.2 ones, or they would have stuck to the older one. So, the why I am asking this question is to ask you how important is price and how important is value to the industrial consumer, right. Now, you see, in this case the value has not changed much, the value has been the same except the aesthetics, and we all know that aesthetics plays a very minimal role in B2B market because it is a rational market, it has no impulse behavior involved in it. So, emotions play hardly any role in that, right. So, what it says is price the only consideration in the B2B market? Are we living in a world where manufacturers can only survive by being the cheapest, or is the real issue value? How do you define? Now, for this case you might say the companies would move towards the $0.2 product because the functional value remains the same. But however, if I would just twist the question a bit and say that the $1 product had a very high efficiency and the $0.2 had some kind of a efficiency issue, in that case the things would have been different, right. Why? Because in that case what comes into consideration is what is the role of this auto diode in the final assembly, right. And if because of this product there can be malfunctions in the automobile, then no company, no OEM in the world would ever like to go for a cheaper product at the cost of its final output. So, this is why that is the reason we are talking about price versus value. So, sometimes price is a very less important component in the B2B market, right, in comparison to the value, right. And one more reason I will tell you why. When you talk about the B2B market, when you talk about price, here we do not understand price as the listed price, we are not talking about list price, right. What we talk about is always called the TCO. TCO stands for total cost of ownership, right. So, total cost of ownership. Now, what does it mean? Total cost of ownership means that in order to find the price of a B2B product, you need to understand what is the entire life cycle cost or entire cost throughout its life of the product, right. So, because of the product, if there are certain breakdowns and because of the product there are malfunctions, or because of the product the efficiency has increased, whatever, right. So, all the minuses and all the pluses will be included in that, and thus the price will not be the list price, but the overall price that you bear due to this particular product. So, that is why industrial marketers, B2B marketers are largely concerned about total cost of ownership, which is nothing but a reflection of the value of that the product generates. Okay. Now, let us talk about a case study. So, today we will be discussing about this case study, Rising Sun. Okay. So, this is gentleman Naveen Gupta, who had recently been transferred from the consumer electronics division to the business solution division in Rising Sun, a company called Rising Sun Electronics. This is a large firm with about $10 billion value and manufacturing all kinds of electronic products from TVs to portable CD players, everything, right. And it has a very good brand presence, it is a household name throughout the world, known for its largely for its consumer electronic products. But recently they have become interested in serving the business markets, and they have established a business solution division to take their electronic know-how into the business markets. So, as you can understand that electronics market has a lot of semblance with the business market. So, these people obviously thought they could next venture into the business solution division, and there is a reason behind it also, because it is a very profitable division. The first segment will be related to business communications and on-site security. Okay. Now, last year they had sold about 500 million in products and services to the business market, but top management expects that this market should grow in excess of 20% per year, and in addition the margins on the business products are at least double than those in the consumer markets. Okay. So, it is a very like a green pasture, it is a very profitable looking venture. Okay. After about 3 months on the job as Vice President of Marketing for Business Solution, Mr. Gupta was wondering how he could carry out his assignment from the CEO. So, when the CEO had hired him, he had said that marketing in our B2B operations just is not what it should be. So, we need to improve. Since you have the expertise in this area, so you look into it, right, and I assume you will be able to determine what can we do to improve our marketing for business solutions. So, now this challenge has come on Mr. Gupta, he has to increase the sales and the revenue from the business solutions. Now, Mr. Gupta began to study the business solution division because he had no initial experience. So, he had come from the consumer's side. He came to a few conclusions, tentative conclusions. First, advertising and promotion received little emphasis in the division. Okay. So, it had hardly any role. Second, marketing for each business seemed to be relevant only to that business, which can be termed as a self-contained unit. That means, there are lots of divisions and each division was only bothered about their own performance. Okay. Third, the product manager in these businesses were deeply involved with their customers, spending lot of time with their customers. Okay. So, these three inputs which he got, right. So, he derived these conclusions. Now, it helped Mr. Gupta now decided to discuss his observations with a B2B colleague at this company, right. So, when he described his tentative conclusions, the colleagues surprised him by disagreeing with them. He decided to speak to a fellow or his own friend who was working in the B2B position in the steel industry, and then when he decided with this friend of his, who was also a friend during his educational time, his study days. So, his friend Maria, he reiterated his 3 major conclusions and asked for advice. Maria took a moment and then responded, and she said, well, it is difficult. While marketing is called marketing with consumers and is also called marketing in the B2B world, but there are large number of differences in the marketing of both these B2C and B2B. So, what kind of tools you use in your previous position, Maria said to Gupta, are just the opposite that you would have to use in your current position, which is for the business solution division. So, it might be prudent to put off your deadline, because he had to give his opinion to the CEO of the company and give his strategy that he wanted to develop. And in spite of doing this, we could delay this thing and spend some of your time with your major customers of the division, right. And she said, I know you can do it very well, right. So, this is the situation. Now, looking at this case, so Gupta has joined recently into the business division, and let us see how he would handle this problem of improving his target, his business in the business solution division. So, there are few questions which I would suggest you can take a pause and just try to answer. If you had been the place of Mr. Gupta, what would have been your reply to these questions? First question is, was Maria wrong? Were the B2B marketing executives at this company, right, just protecting their past decisions, right? What major differences do you think Mr. Gupta will find if he follows Maria's advice that to meet the spend time with the large customers and try to understand them better? Is it a good idea to promote consumer marketing executives to senior B2B marketing positions? There is a challenge, is a question, does it really work or it is a mistake by the company, right? Why do advertising and promotion play a subsidiary role in the B2B market? And finally, what are the major differences between B2B buyers and consumer purchasers? So, try to answer these 5 questions, and I am sure we will be at the same page, or let us see how you and me are thinking, right. So, some tentative answers which I have given is, was Maria wrong? No, Maria was not wrong at all, right. As RSC has just forayed into the business solution division, the employees are not accustomed to the B2B approaches, and they are handling things in the same way they were doing in case of B2C, right. So, that is a past experience, and past experience plays a very vital role in the B2B market, because what kind of your performance, your growth in the industry of the executives also depends on what kind of results they bring into the table. So, moreover, past experiences plays a vital role in the organizational buying behavior of the employees. So, it has a major impact. So, Maria is not wrong. So, but the situation is slightly different. What major differences do you think Mr. Gupta will find if he follows Maria's advice? So, if he follows Mr. advice, I think there would be a better understanding of the B2B market. Since B2B clients are rational in nature, so and he has come from a division where he has been handling consumers who are largely emotional, right, because when you buy a consumer electronics product, so maybe you are more emotionally driven than only rationally driven, right. And then these are high involvement products, and the relationship with the client is very important, right. And moreover, joint decision making is a major decision making process that happens in the B2B market, and therefore, it is a challenge, because here we have seen that in the caselet that the different divisions are all self contained units, and they are rather concerned about their individual performances. So, all these things makes it a challenge and for Mr. Gupta, right. The third question is it a good idea to promote consumer marketing executives? Now, I leave it on to you, but yeah, obviously the the simple analogy or understanding says ki no, it is not a good practice, right, because a person who has no idea about how B2B market works, right, he will find a lot of difficulty. Let us say it will take a lot of time to understand the market, and as a result there might be a slump in sales, there might be a poor relationship that might get developed, because this market is all about relationship market. So, if you do not understand the importance of relationship, which can happen if you have come from a B2C industry, then it can be a serious issue for the future growth of the business, right. The way B2B market is managed is quite different, right, as I have been saying. Mass advertising and building brand image has very little role in the B2B market. I do not say brand image has no role to play, but mass advertising, I have never seen mass advertising being used as a strategy in the business markets, at least. Brand image works, there is no doubt about it, a brand works, but the brand works because of certain other points rather than mass advertising. For example, it works through a word of mouth, it works through a better service that creates a differentiating image in the market. So, B2B marketers create their own brand image through their efficiency of the product, through the way the product has been performing. So, that is got nothing to do with how many times you advertise it or where you advertise it, right. Why do advertising and promotion play a subsidiary role in the B2B market? Now, you see, as I have been repeating, B2B customers are more rational than being emotional, right? And the products are also customized. So, if you see a B2B product versus a B2C product, B2C products are all standardized in nature. They are 100% or I can say close to 100% they are standardized, but B2B products are specification driven and they are customized according to the requirement of the client. So, if you have a, that is why the relationship is a very important aspect when you talk about the B2B market. The same product, for example, you want a let us say a particular machine, and that machine you want according to your specification, because how many rotations per unit, what kind of durability you want to look at, what kind of strength you want to look at it, and how many maybe units it can produce as an output, or and what amount of price you are ready to pay. All these things makes it very complex and the decision is taken in a different manner, right. So, since these products are customized and highly complex and maybe high involvement products, they are high involvement products, okay, products. So, that is why mass promotion does not work, right. So, customized, high involvement and always they are very complex products, because for if you look at any B2B product, it has got hundreds of elements involved to make the final product, right, so hundreds of elements. Now, each element has a different role. So, that is why the products this is here advertising and promotion hardly works, because it is a rational market. What are the major differences? So, I need not speak much about it, because already we have discussed over a number of slides. So, you can refer to the previous slides where we have talked about how the market structure, the buying behavior, the product price, promotion, everything they differ. The B2B and the B2C largely differs. Okay. So, what you can do is you can have your own opinion and think about it, and maybe you can even improve on what I have said. Okay. So, take this as an exercise again, one more exercise. List some industrial products and explain their nature, scope and market. So, what you do is take a pause, pick up some industrial products, industrial or B2B products, you can because they are both they are used synonymously. So, B2B or industrial products and explain their nature. So, you can take maybe a software, you can take a machine, you can take any service, you can take anything, right. And what you can do is you can try to explain the nature of the product and what is the scope and which markets do they operate. So, that you can do. So, by doing this you can get a fair amount of idea, a practical idea of what exactly this subject is going to tell you, or what I am trying to teach you, right, or explain you, that we can be more clear when you do such kind of exercises. So, with this what I will do is I will try to wind up the lecture out here, and I hope you will do this exercise, and if you require any help you can send through your questions in the discussion forum. So, that is it for the day. I hope you have understood what I have tried to explain. So, we will meet in the next lecture, in the 6th lecture, right. So, thank you very much.